The zone wasn't capped? There's no penalty, Sassy?
Aside, and it's just you could... Getting that 52 to work and getting a triple.
Hello everyone and welcome to Splat World Series 2026 REWOUND, where we take a look at some of the matches that weren't played on stream, but hey, there is still a lot of great Splatoon action to come and see. I am Topic, joined by my wonderful co-commentator Cakes, and for you today we have a pretty decent match, I will say. I think it will be very exciting to see these two teams play. We have CutieNK versus CutieNK, and Cakes, why don't you introduce us to our first team, CutieNK?
Well, CutieNK is made up of players TFK, Nene, K, and Kure, and they are all very, very notable players. As you can see, their max X power is very, very high, over that 3k XP, and that will be something to keep an eye out for, as getting 3k XP is not an easy feat. Weapons to be notable. Things to be noted is that this team is playing a coolerless comp. As you can see, there is no weapon that has cooler in their team comp. And another weapon to be noted on is their roller from Nene, a weapon that isn't seen as so common, but is a very, very powerful weapon, and we will be seeing a lot of hits from that. Topic, can you tell us about our second team in this series, CutieNK?
Yes, I can indeed. And CutieNK, they're going to have a very, very tough hill to climb, but hey, they are no slouches in their own right. We got Atlas, who's mainly going to be playing that sticker stamper. We have Hawaiian, a really, really great bow player here in the West. You have Kronos, known for their Tent gameplay, as Tent is not a weapon that's seen very often, especially at such a high level of play. So being able to master it and get really high X powers and making it here is something to be proud of. And Gimme, another weapon not really seen that often at higher levels of play, being that Dapple dualies, whether it be the vanilla or the Nouveau kit. It's very, very aggressive in nature with that cooler. So we're gonna see how CutieNK decides to play this against a team, like you said, CutieNK. Basically every single member is reaching towards that 4k X power range. Getting above that 3k range is very, very good indeed. Now, for Splat World Series 2026, both teams, they get to pick or get to ban 2 stages, and then the first match will be random. So we see both these teams, they made their bans, and the first match will be a Splatoon 3 classic, Hagglefish Market.
And yeah, Hagglefish being a very, very popular starter pick for Splatoon 3, as it's just a very straightforward map. The map has a couple flanks on the sides, but the main objective is in the middle of the map, and you're going to really need to get through that middle in order to really start your lockouts. We're starting up now, and we're seeing from the side of CutieNK this chump bow from Hawaiian, and that'll be a really, really good pick for CutieNK, as having the chumps on the zone will make it very, very difficult for CutieNK to be able to keep hold of that for very long. We also see the Milk Flux from CutieNK, another very strong but hard weapon, and that will allow them to have a lot of pressure and get an entry tool for their team to push back in or hold their pushes.
Well, speaking of entry tool, those double Zukas can do a lot of damage just keeping CutieNK away. Even though these chumps are pod, TKF not quite able to stay alive for very long due to those chumps. So shout out to CutieNK for breaking through that defense. And I think something that needs to be noted for CutieNK is that going with no backline, it makes you a bit more vulnerable to Hawaiian, but unfortunately it doesn't even matter, as Kure getting a nice Zuka pick through that Tenebrella shield. As you see, CutieNK are going to slowly be able to respond and are going to get a couple members of CutieNK down as well and slowly push their way up. But I shout out to Kronos for just stalling out for as long as possible, giving their team more time to get in and recapture that zone.
And yes, we saw Atlas on that bottom right able to pull two other people to give their team an opportunity to make a play. And the Carbon on the side of CutieNK goes down, but Gimme in their backline just trying to stall, finds a pick on one, but then gets traded out instantly by TFK. And now Atlas on that wiper trying to look for something. Kronos getting picked off by TFK yet again. And we can just see that TFK has so much draw that two different people were just looking at them. And now we have Kure in position trying not to get hit by a hammer, getting forced out by the wiper. And now with three people down on the side of CutieNK, four now for that wipeout, CutieNK will now find their opportunity to push in and stake their claim and hold their base.
Yeah, and you see the absolute carnage being distraught by these triple Zuka, even though they only managed to get one pick. So much pressure has been put on CutieNK. They're going to be forced away. Nine doing a great job of just sharking underneath that tent, making sure no one can go by, forcing those chumps out a little bit early to try to make sure Zone can't get painted with those TKF with that Booyah Bomb at the right. Unfortunately, they are going to go down. 3 members down. K, the last one left, just doing everything that they possible to stay alive, getting one, looking for a second, just dancing around them. Unfortunately, they are going to go down, but not without getting a trade. So the damage has been done against CutieNK, and it feels like Kronos has been using this or trying to use this tent shield to their advantage, but it just has been shut down. It's kind of been a non-factor throughout most of the game. And speaking of being not being a non-factor, Nine doing a great job. They've consistently been flanking, consistently game about in the backlines, and consistently having the Zuka at the ready. You see right here, just keeping Kronos away, putting him back in that respawn timer, making sure that the rest of CutieNK can just have that space to push forward, to give TKF this space to just have that Booyah Bomb ready for counter push.
And the chumps are coming out from the side of CutieNK. They're trying to get ready for a push, but Kronos getting picked off alongside Atlas will stuff this push in its tracks. Nine on that bottom left trying to force out Hawaiian with the rest of their team members. CFK now with the Booyah Bomb trying to make something happen and keep the members of CutieNK out. Gimme finding their way in, but getting picked off before they can find any picks on the zone. Game 1 will go to CutieNK.
Yeah, and I think something I want to at least highlight, especially at the end of that game, was you saw, I believe it was Nine K, and Kure. They were all swarming underneath that tent because I think you saw throughout most of that game, throughout most of the early parts of that game, Hawaiian was consistently going up there and Kronos was below it, throwing out that tank shield to make sure no one can go underneath and try to shark under it. But at the end of that game, when CutieNK, they had the space, they had the members down, they just continued to put pressure on that tank and make sure that it was basically unreachable for any members of CutieNK.
Yes, and Nine with that carbon roller, just as we saw, they were able to have those Nine and K were able to have those Zukas in order to shred the tent shield instantly, and even the chumps that would be seen as an obstacle to keep them out and slow their push down were dealt with very consistently and very frequently, so that it was really a non-issue. But now, the band phase is over, and we will be going to, it seems, Barnacle and Dime on CutieNK's pick.
Yeah, see, I'm a fan of this, at least in theory, for CutieNK, because 10 is very, very strong here, because you can just kind of clear out either side of the street or just going through mid. You have, of course, the Chumps bow or Incline bow from Hawaii being able to just paint out most of the zone and kind of give the teammates a way in. I think the Dapple Dudes can put up a lot of pressure here, as well as they're able to run through mid relatively unfazed with the help of those chumps. But again, on the flip side for CutieNK, it's just Nine and Kurai to be very, very curious, aware of them, because they like to push together and they like to put up a ton of pressure at the beginning of the game to make sure that Kronos and Hawaiian really can't play the game as effectively as they want to.
And starting off this match, we do see Kronos with that 10 shield coming out, but the members of CutieNK being on both sides of the flank of that shield, making a non-issue. Gimme having to jump out after receiving all of that pressure after their teammates went 2 down, and this is a very early dominant hold for CutieNK.
Yeah, it is. And you see, TK is going to use that slider to at least keep that holding, keep that paint up, and you see almost immediately that CutieNK is just making it almost impossible for CutieNK to drop every time they try to, even with the help of Chronos. That 10 shield gets shredded. They're forced to pop multiple specials. That cooler plus Booyah Bomb. Now they have very little to actually paint the zone, and Kure is still here with the help of K as well, just dancing around the ledge, able to get a nice pick there, looking for even more. Gimme in the zone, just trying to get something started, not quite able to get the zone painted at all. The rest of the team, they're still pushed back. They're still in the bad spot. Nine going straight for Hawaiian, keeping that bow away, but they're going to get shut down. And finally, after a lot of back and forth, CutieNK is at least able to get on the board. But the question's got to be, how long will that last?
And that question is important indeed. CutieNK were able to get to 12 in their first push of the game. So now it is up to the members of CutieNK to make sure that they cannot get back in and start their reign of terror once again. Kure with that machine finding a trade onto Gimme, but Chronos in this bottom right trying to make something happen, taking attention and getting out safely. One member goes down to, I believe, Hawaiian on their plat, and Nine forced to jump out and reset to a teammate while they're trying to make this push back in. Hawaiian evading the Zuka and staying alive while Chronos uses their own Zuka and is slowly approaching the lead.
Yeah, that lead's going to be taken. K and Kure is able to try to get to the zone. They're not going to be able to do it. And CutieNK with a very, very nice game, too. They got a good lockout there. You saw Nine and Kurai, Nine and Kurai, they were trying to flank on the street area, because you saw Nine, they managed to get behind the members of CutieNK. They managed to, draw or get noticed, but it felt like they were immediately forced to jump out and kind of reset with the rest of their team. And I will credit CutieNK. What went better this game than last game is that they really weren't overwhelmed by just the pure amount of Zukas that CutieNK had.
I completely agree. It was a very good live for both Chronos and for Hawaiian there at the end, where they were both able to live those Zukas and just be able to retaliate or just stay alive. In Hawaiian's case, being able to keep the paint on the map, and Chronos being able to counter Zuka and find more pressure and find picks at the end there. But now we're going into the ban phase for CutieNK. They're banning Mako Mart and Urchin Underpass. Urchin specifically a really good map for teams that are backlist and can move very, very quickly, especially with that roller. But we will be going to Undertow Spillway. Can you tell us a little bit about that topic?
Well, I can indeed, as I believe this map, especially the mid area with those ledges, are going to be very, very helpful for Nine and Kure there, because they have been playing machine for Triple Zuka. It makes sense. Just being able to kind of shark those ledges or just put up a lot of pressure on those ledges, kind of make sure that CutieNK cannot kind of go through mid for free is going to be very, really big here. And you see, interesting switch up from Hawaiian going over to the bulbs with that inkjet, and on the other side, K going over to the Kraken shot. I believe that's more so to make sure that Chronos cannot just run through the tent shield, but they might not even need it, as almost immediately that's going to be 3 down, possibly a wipeout, but Gimme forced to jump away, and CutieNK, lots of pressure, basically got a wipeout at the beginning of the game, and they're in a really good spot.
Indeed. Kay going down to Hawaiian with that bow, and Kay seeing the pressure from both sides, getting pincered, is trying to live here, but still trying to hold that space and not give it up for free. Finally goes down, Gimme finding one, and now in this zone is just trying to make sure that they have map control and there are no sharks for them to worry about. Kay finding a pick onto Hawaiian, and now Kay in position gets another pick, and that will be a wipeout for CutieNK. And now, although they already have this top right of the map, K goes down right as I say it. They still have majority of the map to do whatever they want to do with. We're getting jumps back in, and it will be a hard fought battle for CutieNK to get back in and start getting points on the zone again.
Yeah, I'm looking at that slider. That slider can be really used to shut down whatever they try to contact. Try to do that. There it is, popped down right now. Able to at least got a lot of damage, but no picks. Shout out to this Content Cat not going down almost immediately. But K with the follow up, getting a nice pick there, forcing a Hawaiian away. Not quite able to get the pick. Nine and Kure on the other side, just putting up a ton of pressure. But Atlas and Chronos are going to respond in kind, just keep the zones neutral. Another good coming out from Nine here to at least try to get some damage off, allow their team to go in. But K somehow, some way is going to stay alive, find the pick on Alice, and 3 members down on the side of Content Cat. Even though Hawaiian did manage to stall the stone zone for a little bit here, they're not going to be able to recapture it. And it feels like CutieNK, this all-out aggressive comp has been working out for them. It feels like they've been able to, or anytime they've been on their back foot, it has not been for very long.
I completely agree. Even though they have no backline, that does make them faster than Content Cat, who does have a backline and a tent, a historically very slow weapon. But as we see here, they do also have a sword, a very quick weapon, able to clean up that fight. And now Atlas still holding mid, holding this Booyah Bomb, trying to hold some space so that their teammates can get back in, avoiding the Zukas. Gimme goes down, and the sliders are coming out from TKF, and the duel happens with Atlas, but unfortunately both members go down as K, on this recall of the jetpack, not even needing it to recall, finds that pick and puts the zones back in favor of CutieNK.
Yeah, one thing I want to really point out about CutieNK is they're really prioritizing this top right area. They're making sure that Content Cat cannot contain it. Every time they've pushed in, guess what? They had Nine or Kure or K instead. One of the 3 members just going in and making sure that's contained. Speaking of K, just putting up a lot of pressure there, making sure that Content Cat just cannot even get to their top left. You see, Nine sharking, Kure is going to be there as well. Unfortunately for them, TKF did go down, so that will give Content Cat at least a man advantage for the moment and be able to get the zone, but it may not even matter. As you see, they're in the back lines. They're kind of pincer the members of Content Cat, but they're kind of ignoring them for now. Unfortunately, that will be their downfall, as even though they're able to neutralize the zone, just not quite able to go far enough to take it.
Yeah, and the members of CutieNK are just very comfortable with playing wherever on the map. Gimme is now trying to find a pick, but is very much struggling as there are 2 different members looking at them and shutting that push down. TKF building this slider, but just making sure to hold space with the wall, finds one onto Atlas, and K with this Kraken goes down before they can exert any more pressure, but that is going to be a special they will have to worry about. There's not a lot of time left on the zone. It gets stalled, but Nine finds a pick onto Atlas on that sword and gets another pick onto Hawaiian, shooting him out of the sky. And now the zones are still firmly in neutral, but the members of CutieNK do have a man advantage as 2 people do just go down yet again. Content Cat needs to figure out their stagger situation so that they can get a hold back into mid and put this game in their favor.
Yeah, speaking of that stagger, you see it right here. Every time Content Cat gets a kill, they're always going 1 down. They're never able to get a full, good main advantage in times that they do have it, just not good enough. You see here, final 5 seconds, Bleabom's parked really far away from the zone. Chronos in the tent is not going to be able to do it. They're going to neutralize it. They didn't cap it in time. So CutieNK will be able to win game number 3 and win that set. And I will say something that I saw personally, that was very, very interesting from CutieNK, is that they always sent Nine and K on the really aggressive side. They always had someone on the top right. They always had someone sharking. They always had someone just in the spots that they knew Content Cat wanted to go. So when they did go there, guess what? They were splatted almost instantly.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to point out is as CutieNK was a coolerless comp, they have an extra special. They have someone else who is able to just go in and walk with them to exert extra pressure and just not be scared of dying because they don't have cooler. The members of Content Cat do have a cooler, and even though it is the Doppel Dualies, a very aggressive weapon that can just get cooler really quickly and then go in with the rest of the team, that's still downtime. If gimme on those doppels were to go down. And you could see that a lot where they would constantly be 2 down and have to rush back in because they don't have time to get that cooler because they need to start up that pressure again. So not having that cooler for CutieNK really worked out for them, as they were just able to keep up the pressure, keep up the aggression, just be able to take spots whenever they wanted to because they just didn't have to clump up and wait for a special on a cycle.
Yeah, and I think that cooler difference is what made the really big difference in favor of CutieNK. But with that game done, that is it for this set. But hey, don't go anywhere because guess what? We have an entire playlist of Splat World Series 2026 Rewound that you can watch right here. So hey, stick around, watch another video, and hey, maybe you'll enjoy it.
And yes, and we'll see you another time.